Welcome, everybody. It's Tuesday night. It's Draft for Upside. I am Johnny Danger coming out of Michigan, and I have this, beautiful can of beer to open. It's a fantastic thing. With us is Mr. Brewery Mark. How are you, Mark?
I'm doing great.
We got a guy apparently in a bar full of people not respecting social distance. Adam White, how are you?
I am not in a bar right now. That is my roommate up here bitching about why he just had to play in terrible conditions on the golf course.
Fair enough. And Mr. Chris, right. Big time esports Emmerich. Did I get that right this time?
No, it's just esports. That's all we're going with.
Big time. Not big time. No big time.
No big time.
No big time. Fair enough. Well, let's kick this off real quick. Adam, I understand that you are in beautiful Boyne City, Michigan, competing in the Michigan Amateur Open, which you qualified for. How'd you do today, sir?
Today was good. Shot a little 70, and I'm in for the match play tomorrow. So top 64 go on to match play, 1 versus 64, 2 versus 63, and so on. I'm somewhere in the middle of the pack, right where I want to be. So should be fun.
I dig it, man. So 1 more day of play, 2 more days of play. What's the deal?
Up to 3 more days of play. So you just basically play until there's, 1 winner. So 36 holes tomorrow, potentially. Same thing Thursday, same thing Friday.
That's
until
fantastic.
A champion is crowned.
So it's all match play from this point on.
Yep, 1-on-1, man. Mano y mano.
I like it. Well, good luck to you, sir. I wish I could come up and join you.
Oh, I appreciate it. I could have you on the bag. You could drink beer while you caddied. I wouldn't care.
Hell yeah, man. I'm in. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be there. I'll see you tomorrow.
Great.
Man, I'll have 2 kids with me. It's totally fine.
Totally fine.
Totally fine.
Your kids are old enough to watch themselves now. Come on.
Yeah, close enough. 4 years old, 6 years old.
Yeah, you got a dog. It works.
Yeah, done. No problem. Well, guys, we had some fun last week. I don't think any of us won a lot of money, but Mark was just adamant about Webb Simpson, and he was right. Well done, Mark.
Why, thank you. I wish I could have played him in the one and done.
Of the chalk. He was like 20-something% owned in the Million Maker and like 40% owned in the high stakes leagues. But hey, man, that was your guy.
Yeah, I was hoping he'd be a little lower owned since he missed the cut the week before. But yeah, oh well. People are catching up on the smarts and the research, and yeah, what can you do?
Adam, did you play any last week? I know you left us high and dry.
I played a little bit, man. I've been in over my head with work and trying to grind to get ready for this tournament. So I played a little bit. Basically had one lineup that completely tanked. You guys saw it in our host league, and it was awful. But I enjoyed the tournament nonetheless. Hell of a finish. A lot of guys up top with a chance, and Webb got hot on the back 9, man. Got it done. Man,
I got pretty pissed too because I had a flat out bet on Neiman for the final round. And he was right there looking for a playoff, and then Webb just went crazy the last 6 holes.
Yes, he did. I was a week early on Neiman. I was really on him the week before, and he disappointed. And then I didn't get back on him, and of course he had a great week.
Yeah, and I had Matt Naismith in almost every single lineup, and he played really well for almost a minimum price guy, and I love him again this week. So we had some really nice guys. Chris, what was the highlight of your guys?
Sunday when I didn't have to look at it anymore.
Yeah, I was really happy. I had the top 3 in the tournament, so I had my main lineup had Simpson, Answer, and Hatton, 1, 2, and 3, and then Harris English did good for me, but my Achilles heel was Kisner missed the cut. Otherwise, I think I would have made some bank. I made a profit, but
yeah, Morikawa let you down too that final night.
Who did?
Sure did.
Yeah,
sure did.
Morikawa let us down. Damon really screwed me over, man. Or Damon, Joel, he sunk me, man. I was sitting pretty for that last 9 holes, and he just absolutely crapped the bed on the back 9.
Yeah, Morikawa doing a +4 on Sunday. That was just killer.
Yeah,
I was just like nailing the coffin.
Same thing to me. It's terrible.
Yeah, no, on Saturday I just counted it, I think seven different slates of different sports and different things, and every one of them was highly successful, won several $100s over each of their buy-ins, but I kept having to adjust golf out of it and look at them individually just to understand what was going on, because the golf just skewed the all rating so much.
Right.
Except for in the morning when I was at 25,000, then it carried the load. But
yeah, that was good for a hot minute.
I knew it wasn't going to last. I hoped. That would have been cool.
Well, guys, let's get into a little bit what we're drinking here before we start breaking down this week's course. I got a trio of beers from Fenton Winery and Brewery, Fenton, Michigan. They used to distribute. They don't anymore. They doubled down on their property, started doing weddings and catering, and my parents live 0.7 miles from there. So my dad brings over a lot of beer from there. I visit quite often. Their food's really good. So if you're up in the Fenton area ever, Adam, Mark, I highly recommend swinging out there, get a pizza, have a couple of beers. Beers are good. Food's excellent. And you can't get it anywhere else anymore since they quit distroing. So I have got their Unbridled IPA, 5.8% standard American IPA. Nice, resiny, a little bit more bitter than my typical taste like on a standard IPA, but excellent beer. I've been really happy with their IPAs lately. Mark, what are you drinking?
I'm going with a classic Belgian beer. I'm going with a Delirium Tremens.
Fantastic. Pink elephants all the way around.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of my favorite Belgians in the world. It's pretty common now in the U.S. It used to be kind of rare like 10 years ago. But as I told you last week, I'm going through my refrigerator that I left here when I was in North Carolina for a year. And I can tell you what, Delirium, just as good as when I bought it a year and a half ago. So.
Oh, yeah, that beer will age forever, man.
Oh,
that's good stuff.
It's in
Chris, you got anything tonight? Are you taking the day off? What's up?
I am finishing off a bottle of Tarnished Truth. It's 3 years aged. It's a high rye straight bourbon whiskey, bottled on the Atlantic. I don't know. I guess maybe it was bottled on the water. That seems kind of ridiculous. Or maybe the building's on the water. I don't know. This is bottled 969, batch 17, 3 mash bill, 80% corn, 38% rye, 4% malted barley here in Virginia.
Adam, you have to be celebrating something, right?
Absolutely not. We're still in the heat of competition, man. So I'll be sober this evening and hopefully celebrate in a few days.
All right. Well, you can catch up.
I will certainly play catch up if the scenario plays out the way I want it to.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll drink one for you, Adam.
I appreciate that, buddy. Delirium Tremens is a fantastic beer, by the way. I absolutely love it.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. First time I had it was at Ashley's in Westland, because I saw the pink elephant hanging from the bottle. I'm like, I gotta have that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very cool. Very
Ashley's
cool
has
packaging.
everything.
Indeed. All right. Well, before we get into golf, Chris, you have any esports updates? Any kind words on the subject that you'd like to share?
No, I had 2 real sweats today. Neither of them ended up really well, but I was thinking some good things were going to happen, and only mildly okay things happen. I mean, doubling your money is okay, and that's wonderful, but that's not what we're here for. Had some ups and downs. If we go back to last week, I probably went down a good $2,000, and then I came up $3,000, and I'm up $2,000. Like it's a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster.
I like it, man. I know Mark and I have been playing a lot of poker, and that's definitely the feeling, right? I won $100 in a micro tournament, and then turned around and lost $90 on the cash table like 15 minutes after I won the tournament. So, yeah, it happens. I won another one last night, $232. I'm pretty happy with that. So that takes my total for the month of June. Profit $707.
Nice.
Profit over entries. So. And that's pretty good for playing basically $4 to $15 tournaments and playing quarter cash games. So I've been pretty happy with that. Mark, how you been doing?
I'm not too bad. I'm doing the roller coaster a little bit. I'm currently up about $150 overall since I started playing on that site, which has been 3 4 weeks. Yeah, and I'm doing the same. I play a lot of the $4, $5 tournaments, and then I lose it all in cash because I am just terrible at cash. I really need to sit down and concentrate on my cash game.
Yeah, it's a different game, and it's micro stakes in cash is difficult too because it's just a chaser's game because they don't care about the $20. They're just, hoping to get a $30-$40 hand real quick and then cash out. So they're just chasing. It's a difficult grind on the lower stakes. The same thing Chris always talks to us about these DFS contests and how I play all these $4, $5 single entries, and he's like, basically people are just throwing crap at a wall hoping it sticks, and you really get the strategy when you get into the higher dollar stuff and people start taking it seriously, and you start being able to see narratives better and not just have people throwing whatever at a wall. It's the same thing in poker. The higher stakes you play, the more reliable the info usually is.
The other thing that you can do, regardless of the sport, and it's indicative of esports as well as other sports in the past, is I am in a Discord that is involved in a particular sport, and most of the people there are pretty stupid. I'm just going to throw that out there. They're really bad. If you take their advice, you're dumb because they don't know what they're talking about. One of the nicest things to do, and I leveraged it the last time I was really successful in like football and basketball, was I kind of listened to what the chat was saying and just went the other way. Because collectively, if you're looking at a group of people that are telling you something and they're all telling you the same thing, it's going to be pretty chalky, and we know that the chalk doesn't hit very often. And when it does, it's okay. You can outrun those with better performances with lower owned teams. And last night I kicked myself. I listened to everybody. I was like, yeah, you know what? JDG is the chalk. They're going to roll, but they're going to roll so easily that they're not going to be the high scoring team. So I'm only going to stack them in threes. No, they were the highest scoring team. You needed to stack them in fours to win. It didn't matter. I had 100% JDG. I cashed absolutely nothing. And it's because I had them in 3 stacks, and it's because I listened to that chat, and it made me sick. And there's a
lot of poker chat out there too, so you can figure out what kind of the everyman is doing and play against it for sure.
Sure.
For sure. Awesome. Well, let's move right along, guys. Let's keep these shows short and concise. We have the Travelers. Who wants to break it down, Mark?
Yeah, so we move up the East Coast to Connecticut for the Travelers Championship, and we're at the TPC River Highlands this week. Notable things about this course: it's one of the shortest courses on the tour. It's only at 6,800 yards. There's only 2 par 5s. There's a par 4 that's only 300 yards, so it's very drivable. It's another Pete Dye course, which we've played the last 3 weeks. So there's a little bit of strategy to it, but unlike the other ones, the fairways are wide open, so this opens up our long bombers this week.
I hear there's a lot of par 4s too, so it's going to be some interesting eagle strikes.
Yeah, there's a bunch of par 3s too. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 par 3s, but only 2 par 5s. So it's a par 70.
I think there's at least 1, maybe 2, if I'm not wrong, that are drivable par 4s.
Mm-hmm. 1 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So given that breakdown, I am going for strokes gained approach. I'm going to be looking at birdie or better, strokes gained off the tee, and then my absolute favorite stat, the ARG stat. And this is going to bring some bombers in. I mean, so I'm expecting like, Hulk Hogan, Bryson to be one of the top owned players this week.
Yeah, for me, for my money, because it's the Pete Dye course, it's gonna take that stick play. That second shot's still gonna be super important. The way they lays it out is that approach shot's awesome. So it's gonna be kind of a mix for me. Probably 3 bombers and 3 stick players, and kind of mix and match a little bit there.
Yep, I agree.
Adam, any thoughts on this course?
Yeah, we've had some entertaining tournaments here the last few years. It is a Bubba course, which stands out to me because Bubba courses tend to remain Bubba courses. So I will be interested in him. We'll get to that in a few minutes, but I think you just got to ride. You got to ride form right now because you've already got 8 rounds potentially of data that you can look at. So that's really all you can rely on outside of course history at this point.
And course history is interesting because while this is a fun course, you've seen a lot of things. You can look at a lot of guys that have some great course history, but this is traditionally the week after a major, and a lot of these big names are not here. So that course history can be a little misleading because these top 25 guys are not normally playing this tournament.
Very true. Yeah, it's a much better field than usual, which, man, these last couple of weeks have been fantastic with the fields and the guys at the top of the leaderboards. Hopefully we have another one just like that.
I absolutely just feel, we'll get to it like you said in a minute, but I just feel like one of these 9,000 and above guys are going to just stroke this course.
I agree. Who you guys liking up top above 10K?
All right, let's jump right into it. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys 10K and above. Brooks, Rahm, Simpson, Thomas, Bryson, and Rory. I'll kick it right off, man. I just can't wait to watch Brooks and Justin, which I believe are paired together, JT and Brooks, for the first round. I think these two dudes are two of my favorite guys for the whole course. They're paired together. They're going to push each other. I'm all over these two guys.
Yeah, I am all over JT. I agree with you with JT. Absolutely. Brooks showed a lot last week, so I think that's a good call too. My favorite two up here is JT and Bryson. I'm curious to see what the new DeChambeau arms will do on a course where it's more wide open for him.
What you got, Chris?
I have nothing.
No thoughts. No thoughts of the 10K guys.
No, I really don't. You know what? I don't have much research done. I have no idea. Yeah, I like Brooks. I always like Brooks. Let's no. I'm good. I'm not gonna roster any 10K guys. I'm gonna throw you into the wind. I'm gonna go a different way.
I like it. Adam, what you got up top?
Rory.
You like Rory here, huh? He's looked a little rusty, man.
Well, last week his advantage off the tee was completely negated because everybody was basically hitting to the same spots off the tee, just because of the way the course sets up. So he's going to be able to take advantage of his driver a lot more this week. And I think Bryson, being as heavily owned as he will be, sets Rory up to be a nice pivot play. I could see him being around. He's never super low on, but I could see him being like just over 10% and being a nice leverage play.
And I'll tell you, I don't mind these guys at the top because, good God, there's some hot guys down. That sounded terrible. There's some players that are playing particularly well form. How's that? That's better than hot guys down in like the 6K range, man. So I think you can mix and match these top guys.
They could still be hot guys and, have good form.
They could be. It's a true story. True story. True story. All right,
but
man.
Anywho,
I dig it, man. I mean, Rory, he's world number one, and you're right. He hasn't been able to unleash the driver. He's going to be able to do it this week. So 11-2 is expensive, but I think there's a lot of value this week.
There certainly is a lot of value. I like Rory and Rahm up top, just mainly for ownership purposes. I think everyone's going to be on those middle three between those two, and probably Koepka a little bit too. So Rory and Rahm, those are, in my opinion, two of the best three players in the world. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if those guys both contend.
I played heavy Rahm week 1 and week 2, so I might as well just roll it into week 3.
So
nothing wrong with that, dude.
Are you curious
I kind of like that strategy, just playing the guy until he wins.
Yeah. Are you curious of ownership? So currently Bryson's calculated to be 18% owned at the top. Number 2 is Victor Hovland. And number 3 is JT.
Mm-hmm.
JT Poston?
No, he's the postman.
Yeah. And then Morikawa's 4, Neiman 5, and Sanjay M 6.
I will tell you I have one of those guys in my lineup.
Actually, where is Rory? Rory is all the way down at 11%. To give you Bryson's at 18, to give you a gauge.
Yeah, and Rory's actually what's been spitting out in their lineup generator over there is only 10% owned. So, Yeah, man, I think, Adam, you hit it right on the head. Just skip those other guys, go right up to Rory. He's going to be chronically underowned.
Yeah, I'm probably going to play a ton of Rory this week. I might just go ahead and play 100%. I don't do that very often, but I'm probably only going to do like 3 or 4 lineups. I'll just do all Rory.
I dig it. All right, let's move along. Down to the 9K range, there's only a handful here. Another 6 names here. Patrick Cantlake coming into his first tournament since the reset. Xander, DJ, Rose, Morikawa, and maybe one of the hottest guys in the league at the moment, Abraham Answer at 9K.
Yeah, I mean, I'm loving Answer. I'm loving Cantlay. Those are my guys.
Yeah, I like this 9K range a lot, Chris. Justin Rose, I feel like, is getting the hang of his, again, new clubs that he switched to. Morikawa, I mean, he hasn't been competing for the win, but he's been in that top 25 range, so it's very safe. Abraham Answer's out of control with how good he's been playing. Price bump might lower some ownership, maybe. Who knows? And Dustin Johnson showed some pretty good heart last week, too. So I like this entire range. I could mix and match every 9,000 guy here. I'm a little weary of Cantlay simply because it's his first tournament back in almost 4 months. But that's it.
Now, did Cantlay just take the time off? Was there a reason, or was he hurt?
I think he just took the time off.
I think it was just time off, but he was recovering from surgery on a deviated septum. So I don't know if it was partially to do with that. He didn't want to jump back into it right away. But, yeah, who knows what his form's going to be like. It's hard to say.
It's going to be wonderful. It's not hard to say, and I know.
Okay, that's impressive. You can actually predict the future.
Hey, that's what we're here for, dude. That's what we're here to do, you know? Like, I'm trying my best, okay? And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But, you know, you got to take stabs at it. And this is the stab I'm taking. You're going 100% Rory. I'm doing one lineup, and it's 100% Cantlay.
I've heard you're quite the stabber.
True story. Yeah, I like Dustin Johnson a lot here. I think he's a little bit sneaky. All of his stats line up really well, except for his putter. But as we all know, that can turn around.
Yeah, I hate that Morikawa's still so highly owned because I think he has a chance for a bounce back here. I love bounce back narratives, but it seems like so far this year it's nobody's paying attention to that. So
I think it's quite the opposite with Morikawa. I don't think he's going to bounce back. I think he's going to fall apart. So I'm steering away from him. Even if I had multiple lineups, I would be out on that. And before I say anything else, I don't know who it is, but there's some crazy feedback on one of you. I think it's either Mark or Adam, one of the two.
It's probably me.
It's probably Adam. It usually is Adam.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, I got a new phone, but I'm up here in this like the best I can get is 2G Wi-Fi.
Yeah, he's in Boeing City.
Well, it's only when you're not talking. So if you just like mute yourself otherwise, and then like it's good. Like it's only when you're not talking. Like it sounds like you're rubbing against your jeans, and it's nice because we're not live, so this can all get edited out because Mark's a wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
So
as soon as
Chris,
we get you set up with a real setup there, Adam, we can use this other software that we've got, and it's real nice.
So, Chris, do you think
like
the Morikawa cut streak ends?
I just don't think you want him in your lineups. He might make the cut, but he's not going to be in any type of tangible cash or money lineup. So I'm steering clear of him. Even look, obviously, I've said I'm not playing a ton of lineups, but let's say that I was probably not playing Morikawa. That's just it's my feeling. It's a gut feeling. It's based off of nothing other than the bourbon that's running through my veins and just my intuition. And you can see how profitable I am as a golf DFS player. So it's obviously smart to follow him.
About as profitable as I am. It's all good. Adam, any thoughts here in the 9K?
Yeah, I actually agree with Emmerich. I think if Morikawa's ownership is going to be that high, you've got a couple guys you can pivot to real easily there, one of which is there at the very top of the 8,000 range in Mr. Paul Casey, as well as Mr. Bubba Watson. So those two guys could be great pivots off of Morikawa at 91.
Are you worried about Paul Casey? Again, has not played in a very long time.
not as worried with Paul Casey. I do absolutely love DJ this week. I think he found his form last week. He's going to roll right on through. And he can also unleash that driver, much like Rory.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of DJ this week. I tell you that.
Why would we be worried about guys when we just saw 2 weeks ago that guys were able to perform after long layoffs? I just don't think that it's something that we need to worry about. I don't think it's something that we should account for. And if you want to talk about a bounce back narrative, since we're in the 8,000 range, let's talk about Sungjae Im. Sungjae Im is a model of consistency, and he really let me down last week, like broke my heart. But I'm going right back to him. He's my bounce back character for the day.
I'm glad you said it, Chris, because I was thinking it. So you might want to change your mind. I had him circled to go at him again.
Yep, me too.
Well, if Mark has it, we're good. We're good.
Oh God, it's unanimous. This is not good news.
Not good news.
Avoid Sungjae.
Yeah.
All right, I better check his ownership.
All right. So 100%. How heavily invested? If you got 150 lineups, how many? Oh,
I'm sorry. Sungjae Im's currently 6th highest owned at 15%.
Yeah.
Yeah, who cares? Webb Simpson was one of the highest owned guys last week. Sungjae Im's going to be in the top 10, and it's going to be fine. You want to be in, not out.
That's true. So
yeah,
Adam,
you got to have some high owned guys.
Yeah. Adam, if you're going to have 150 lineups, how many of those have Bubba in it?
Oh, Bubba, I thought you were going Sungjae. I would probably say 50.
So
whatever his ownership is, I would double it. What's that?
So pretty heavy on the Bubba.
Mm-hmm.
So I played 2 lineups, so one of them will have Bubba.
There you go. Can you go back?
I will be playing 3 and putting him in 1.
One of the guys lined up, the stats just lines right up, is Patrick Reed. I liked him a lot going into last week. I changed my mind like the night before and took him out of all but like one of my 21 lineups, and it was the right play. But I feel like he's just really set up for this course. Adam, am I just off base? Do I just need to stay away again?
No, I think you're absolutely right. He was playing very well before the lockdown happened. Had a good finish in his first appearance back at the Charles Schwab, finished in top 10. So I'm with you. I think it's a great bounce back spot for P. Reed. I could see him top 5ing pretty easily.
And then the guy right below Sungjae Im, Sergio Garcia, really had a good run on Sunday. I had him as another guy I picked for the final round. Just put a couple bucks on a couple guys for fun to win just for the final round. And he made a little run there, man. I thought for a minute I might get a Garcia and Neiman playoff and win-win situation.
Those are always fun. No hedging necessary. But no, I'm not a fan of Sergio this week myself, nor am I a fan of Spieth, who I'm just going to go ahead and say it. He's never going to win again. He's never going to win a PGA
He's lost that day 4 magic.
He's just lost his swing. His ball striking is just atrocious. You can't save everything with the putter, man. He got married. It's over with. He got married.
Right.
He's done.
All right, moving along here, a couple of guys that spike up in the early models that I've run. Gary Woodland again, Tony Finau again. Can Tony Finau actually come out and play in a star-studded lineup and take this one home?
Yes.
I like him for this course. I mean, he's not the bomber, but everything else fits this course.
Yes, he is. Not the bomber.
Not the bomber in this field. Like,
yes, he is. He's like one of the top 5 longest guys on tour with his driver.
Is he? Am I looking at the wrong stats?
He might club down a lot, but when he hits driver, he's one of the longest guys on tour. He can hit 200-mile-an-hour ball speed when he wants to.
Fair. Color my mind changed. You know better than I do.
Finau is a monster. I know his swing isn't real long, but
I'm just looking at off the tee, and he's like, middle of the pack off the tee. So,
as far as driving distance?
No, just looking at shots gained off the tee.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, he's long. I mean, if he can unleash his driver like he can at this course, he'll be in good shape.
Well, I have him starred. I like him. I think he sets up really nice for this course, and I'd really like to see him win one with all these big names in there, because we've talked about him for freaking 2 years now, Adam.
Oh, I know. I've talked about him for longer than that. I mean, he's got all the talent to be a perennial contender in majors, which he really has been the last couple of years. If you look at his major record, he's got a lot of top 10s. So he's shown he can do it in tough fields like this against elite competition. I absolutely love Finau this week. I think he's going to make make some noise, and good to see he's committed to the Rocket Mortgage next week in Detroit.
Plus, he's kind of handsome. Just going to throw that out there.
Yes, he's one of those hot guys down in the 8,200 range. I like the fact that he's not just another like Caucasian dude on tour. So it's good to see, man.
True, man.
He's a great story.
I wish I could come join you, man. But I will be camping from Thursday to Friday of the next week, so I won't be able to come join you. I'm sorry.
There won't be any fans at the Rocket Mortgage.
Oh, we could just go to Detroit and get drunk. It's fine.
Well, that's true. We could definitely do that. We'll just stand outside the gates and like peer in.
Yes, and throw beer bottles at the gate. It'll be fun.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Sure you would. It'd be lots of fun.
Depends how many beers I had.
We can make that happen. Mark, how's your 8th? So this was the money range last week, was this 8K range. I don't know. My first few lineups, like I like some guys here, but I like some of those top end guys, and I really like some of those bottom end. It's probably going to be stars and studs for me. I'm probably not going to have a lot of these 8K guys in there for me. Mark, what do you think here?
Yeah, the one I'm leaning towards is way at the bottom, right at 8K, which is Mark Leishman. I think he fits the course well. He's got a top 10 finish here. He's got 3 top 20 finishes here in the last 5. So I'll probably have I like Sanjay M. We already talked about him. But yeah, that's about it.
Fair enough. All right, $7,000 range. We start with JT Poston. We go all the way down to the 7K range with our good old friend Jim Furyk. Let's see what we like here. Chris, you like the 7K range?
Yeah, I mean, in the 7K range, there's some real studs. Some that I like are Kevin Na and Jim Furyk.
For sure.
I don't know how you don't get those into your lineup. One guy I think we breezed over that we didn't talk about. I just want to throw it out there. Maybe we did, and I was just zoned out. But I like Mark Fitzpatrick or whatever his name, M. Fitzpatrick. I don't know what his first name is.
Matthew.
Yeah. I call him Mark. I like Mark better. We're back to me changing names. This is going to be a good week because it was always a good week when I couldn't pronounce people's names, and it's a Kevin Ya week.
I like it, man. I honestly like this range is nuts here. I mean, you've got some of these guys who have just been absolutely on fire down here. I mean, Brian Harmon tearing it up, JT Poston tearing it up, Neiman finished so strong, Poulter made a run, Hovland has been solid. I mean, this is the 8K range from last week. These are all the guys that are just on fire in this range.
And you name my favorite player in this range, which is Brian Harmon. I think he fits the course perfectly. Plus, he's got 3 top 10 finishes in the last 5 here. And he's made 5 cuts. So, yeah, I'm all over Harmon at 7,600.
Adam, what you think?
The little man. Mark likes the wee man, huh?
I do.
That guy is a midget. Yeah, I mean, 7K range. It's hard not to like Neiman again. The guy makes a ton of birdies, played great over the weekend last week. Victor's a little too high owned for me. I think you can find some pivots that will end up being a little bit better plays. The guy that I absolutely love, kind of in the mid 7Ks, that's kind of going overlooked this week is Scotty Scheffler. Another guy that makes birdies in bunches.
Got a lot of buzz on Scheffler out there on the Twitter feeds. A lot of buzz.
Is there? Scheffler. Gosh darn it. All right, well, I'll just stick with my boy Coco then. Hopefully he's not super high owned, but I love his ball striking, man. If he strikes the ball very consistently week to week, if his putting just becomes average to slightly above average for the field, he's very dangerous.
Yeah, his shot gains putting is 143 out of 154 in the field. Not good.
Well, as we've talked about plenty of times, there's always a good chance that putting flips. Ball striking not so much, but putting can definitely flip week to week. So that's something I'm willing to bank on for a great ball striker like him.
Yeah, it's so hard because there's like a lot of guys down here that sometimes I like to take a shot on, like the Chesticle and Snedeker and Harold Varner, and but you look at it and then you see guys like Max Homa who just lines up at 7K. So it's going to be hard for me to take some of these value guys I usually take because you just got a lot of names here.
I don't mind Homa. The guy that I loved down at the bottom of the 7K range, I think the course suits him very well. And he had a fantastic Sunday last week, is Dylan Fratelli. Mm-hmm. He shot 62 on Sunday to finish top 10, finish T8. And I think the course sets up very well for him. I think he's rounding into form. He usually plays well in stretches of like 3-4 weeks at a time. So I love Dylan Fratelli. Kevin Na, absolutely out on. Not a fan at all. And Shane Lowry just seems very underpriced at 7,100.
Well, I needed him about 2 weeks ago, so that didn't work out. I'm off of him.
He had a rough couple of weeks coming back, but I'm willing to take a shot on him at least in one of my 3 lineups. If you're playing 20 or something, you could throw him in a couple for sure and probably be overweight on the field.
What is that, a fat joke? Because he's a little big, like overweight on the field. Like,
I love the fat dudes on tour, man. You got to represent for the Husky guys,
Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's round this down to the 6,000 range, guys, and get this segment done with. There's a couple of guys here. I mean, you got a guy like Ryan Moore, who plays this course well. That's what I was saying. Doc Redman, who was on fire for a little bit last week. Would like him. Sebastian Munoz, same with him. Any other deep value picks here, Adam? Guys we should know about, maybe that we haven't heard of? Harry Higgs. Looks like his stats kind of line up here.
I don't mind Higgs. I do like who you mentioned there. I'm definitely a fan of Doc Redman this week at 6,700. That's one of the value guys I'll be targeting in my lineups along with Rory, because you need some value guys in those lineups. Matt Wallace played really well last week. I think it's another course that sets up very well for him. He had a very rough Sunday, but I can overlook that because he had 3 solid rounds to start. So I like him as well right there at 6,700. We'll go way down deep for our last guy here in the 6K range, and we'll go to Sam Ryder at 6,400. The man has actually served me an alcoholic beverage poured by himself, and man, he was a riot at that Grayson event last year for the Rocket Mortgage. So I've always had a soft spot in my heart for him since then. I'm going to roll with my boy Ryder this week at 6,400 as my tipsy pick.
All right, it's just barely in there. We changed the rules. I don't know if you listened last week. 6,400 and below.
All righty. He fits. Plenty tipsy.
That does fit. I mean, I don't know how we can go through the 6K range and not talk about Matthew Naismith. I had him in 80% of my lineups last week, and it paid off. So I love him again. I can't stay away from him. They lowered his price. I can't get away from him.
You can have him.
Mark, what do you like here in the 6,000 range? And wait, Adam, are you feeling all right? Because you skipped right by Luke List. Didn't even bring him up.
I did, man. He won on the Corn Ferry Tour a couple weeks ago, and I was like tilted because I couldn't play him in DFS because he wasn't in the main tournament at the Charles Schwab a couple weeks ago. But I do always like Luke List, but I just don't think it's a good week to jump on him. There's one more guy I wanted to mention who I think is just way, way, way underpriced. I wouldn't bat an eye if this guy was 7K. It's Cameron Tringale at 6,300. 11 out of 12 cuts. He finished top 30 in his first 2. Or I'm sorry, he hasn't played yet since they came back. But I still like Tringale a lot at that price.
Yeah, he bailed. There was a lot of buzz about Cam Champ, but I think I just heard today that he tested positive for COVID, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's the second PGA player.
One of those hot guys down in the 6,000 range. It's not playing.
Oh, so did Nikolai Jokic from the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
And did he really? I didn't hear that.
Yeah, but he should be cleared in a week. He's asymptomatic. He's going to come back. It'll be okay.
And
though, man,
he got really skinny too.
Now you said that name, it's so close to the tennis guy, number 1 in the world tennis guy, just got COVID too.
Yeah. They said that his name didn't social distance enough from Novak Djokovic, and that's why he caught it.
A+ joke right there. I like that one.
So, Adam, really I have a question for you.
Hit me.
So, a player I'm not overly familiar with, but fits my model is Patrick Rogers. Can you fill me in on what kind of player this is?
P-Rod absolutely smashes the ball. He's a long hitter. he's been really trending. He's a guy I like to get on, and I would not be against placing an outright bet on him this week. Played great 2 weeks ago, finished in 14th at the Charles Schwab. I could easily see him being a great value play as well at 6,900. Plus, it's just a great number. You know, you can't really argue with 69.
All right. Well, I'm glad my model isn't that far off then.
No, I like your model this week, at least in that one.
I dig it. All right, guys. Well, we've kind of gone through the gambit here. Any words of wisdom before we pick our tipsy pickies?
I got nothing wise to say.
Do a couple shots before we do the tipsy pick.
It's funny that you said that, because first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to crack this beer here.
I just opened an Evan Williams 2012 single barrel vintage bourbon. This is a cheap bottle. You can get this for about $30. Used to be one of my favorites until I started drinking much better ones. But if you haven't graduated to where I'm at yet, this is still a solid option. This one was barreled on 1/17/2012 and bottled on 4/23/20.
4/20. I like it. No, that's an excellent bourbon for the price, man. That and the Four Roses, Buffalo Trace, all in that like $30 range. All fantastic starter bourbons and really good everyday buys when you don't want to break the bank.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you can go up to Basil Hayden's or Basil Hayden's Rye at $40, and it's just so much better than all of those.
Right.
That it's
worth the extra $10. Hands down.
it's a real safe way to go, especially
if you
if
had the
wanna get
Basil Hayden
crazy.
Dark Rye that recently.
Yeah.
That thing has been fire, man. Oh, so good. Fire is my word of the day, apparently.
Yeah, you're on fire.
Fire.
Speaking of that, man, I just cracked up the Eminent Dippa double IPA from Fenton. Stepped up from the single to the double. It's really good. Super biscuity. Really tasty. Almost like an English double IPA. Super good.
What was the name of that brewery in Fenton you were talking about?
The Fenton Winery. The Fenton Winery and Brewery.
I'm going to have to stop by there on the way home, heading down 23.
Yeah, I don't know if their dining room's open yet. Might be. Hard to tell.
Just call and pick up a growler or something.
I feel for those guys, man. They pulled out of the market and spent, a boatload of money renovating this spot to have all these weddings, and they're murdering it. It's beautiful. But guess what's not going on right now?
It's Mark and Ginny, right?
Yeah, man, they're awesome.
Yeah, I love those guys.
Rob? It's Ginny for sure, but I always forget his name.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Mark. Yeah.
Could be Mark. You could be right. All right, well, let's move on to these tipsy picks, my friends. I think I went last week, so I will go first this week.
I actually went last week.
Did you?
Go ahead.
I'm going to go anyways. I don't care.
You guys changed the rules on me after I made my pick. If you
That's
recall.
right. I'm in charge. So, Adam, I thought maybe you almost were wise to me.
Aaron?
I'm going to get on the Aaron Wise train here. My tipsy. Why? I don't know. I just like him. Let's do it.
Because you're not a very wise guy when it comes to golf.
It's terrible. Terrible golf DFS player, but I got lots of poker winnings to keep dumping down the drain. It's fine.
There you go.
Totally fine. Adam, what you got?
Well, I'm gonna stick with my ride or die and go with Sam Ryder.
I figured as much. Christopher,
continue the wordplay.
What you got?
I don't know. I'm gonna go with Adam Long.
I like it. And Marcus?
I am going to go with a blast from the past at 6K VJ Singh.
Interesting. I dig it. Any parting words, anyone? I'm going to open the floor.
Are we doing $10 on tipsy pick, or are we just doing $10 on a tournament?
Nah, let's just do $10 on the on our little game.
Okay,
we'll do that. Well, my friends, I did a terrible job of talking about who we are and where we are for our 4 listeners. So Draft for Upside, DRAUGHT, like draft beer, the number 4, upside.com. We have a webpage that we use occasionally. Hopefully we'll use more coming up. You can find us on Facebook, the same name, Twitter, the same name. We are also distributed through the Sports Crew with my man Lou Landers. We appreciate him. And you can catch us on the feld at bigdogpoker.net. Someday maybe they'll sponsor us, right, Mark?
Absolutely. We got to get that sponsorship done. And we are also on radio.com and on Apple Podcasts.
Look for us everywhere. Well, I am Johnny Danger for Chris Emmerich, for Adam White, for Mark Larson. We will catch you next week. We've been Draft for Upside.
See you.